Hello there, Gamerinos and Gamerinas. Welcome to UnicornStorm. This is Rady, and today I'm taking a look at Paper Ghost Stories. In the full release, Third Eye Open, the demo 7 PM is included, so I started with that and then jumped into the main game. And I have to say, I kinda liked the pacing and the overall atmosphere of the demo more than the actual game. So what is Paper Ghost Stories? It's mostly a narrative ghost story anthology. Kinda. It's also a game steeped in contemporary Malaysian culture and tradition, and it presents those in some really interesting and sometimes stunning ways. Even with the way the dialogues are written, the game tries to capture modern Malaysian culture with broken English riddled with Malay and Mandarin phrases and idioms that get promptly explained with footnotes. Lots and lots of footnotes. It does so to a point where it seems the game is more concerned about teaching you about Malaysian customs and language than telling you a story about ghosts. There is some good atmosphere here, and I appreciate any game that uses its systems or set pieces to let me learn more about the world, but this game doesn't really teach you this stuff alongside a creepy and atmospheric ghost story. It's more so that the game just tells you about it for a while before the next short horror segment starts. And it's a shame because the overall story is rather enjoyable and a lot of interesting things are happening. You assume the role of Ting, a small girl who is able to see ghosts, so she quickly stumbles upon all kinds of creepy incidents that happened in her neighborhood. This isn't all too important though, because she's also overly shy and a bit of a shut-in, and she soon has to start preschool. Because of her social awkwardness as well as her ability to notice supernatural things, other kids as well as their parents keep their distance from her, which in turn causes much dismay and concern from Ting's family. Her father is overly strict and her mother suffers from an increasingly severe brain condition. Pretty much all the characters are very well rounded. It appears the developers put a lot of thought into fleshing out the world. Everyone has a unique personality that avoids being one note. And there's some really natural and authentic relationships and dynamics, especially between the older folk and the children going on. Whenever the game wants to present a good, thick atmosphere, be it cozy or laid back or tense or outright terrifying, it nails it completely. So it's even more of a shame that most of my time with this game hasn't been these moments. Most of it is just walking back and forth in small areas because the game wants to fill the time between conversations with something, even if it is just boring walking through areas you already know, just because the characters you need to talk to move arbitrarily around. Conversations themselves just meander along. Lots and lots of words are used, but not that much is said. Some of these conversations could be cut in half and they would have lost nothing. Those dialogues seem to be just another form of filler, to pad out a chapter's length, or maybe clumsily drawing out the anticipation before the next creepy or disturbing thing happens. And that might also be the justification for you having to do so many trivial tasks in between as well. You can't just go outside with your friends after asking your mother, you have to go back 2 screens and collect 3 dirty plates and put them in the sink. You have to collect 4 pieces of garbage in a tiny area, pick up 3 of your drawings, pick up 2 of your toys. There's never any depth to it, never any challenge, never anything interesting. It's not that you could choose not to do it and get some unique dialogue from it or something. So it could have just been part of the cutscene or implied in the dialogue. There is a neat little story in here, but you spend so much time reading trivial stuff and doing mindless little tasks in between that it kinda killed all the momentum for me, and my mind began to drift, and I was just going through the motions. And the game didn't even need to draw out these scenes for so long. The early chapters take about an hour each to complete, with most of it being long-winded conversations and mindless walking. Later chapters are shorter and events progress much faster, with a mostly better pacing. But now it often seems that you're just getting thrown from one scene to the next with very little connection between them, and the experience becomes even more passive. Now, there are some scenes where all these little tasks work really well. Collecting tools to make your way through an abandoned haunted house, finding notes while lost in the forest and hunted by an angry spirit. Wait, we already had that. But here it is used to enhance the atmosphere, puts you more into the situation. But these moments are few and far between. There's also some clumsy minigames every now and then, but I don't really have a problem with that. They are mostly included in major narrative events like a neighborhood barbecue where you need to prepare the meat skewers, or cooking soup with your mom after a bad day. It's sweet, and these do what I criticized earlier. They teach you interesting things about Malaysian culture through the gameplay, not in turns with it. Only during the chase segments are the minigames, well, not annoying, but distracting. The game isn't built for high-octane action scenes, and these quick-time events just don't feel satisfying or responsive enough to be enjoyable. They more so disrupt the flow of the scene. I see what the developers intended, but it just isn't quite there. Now again, when the game wants to hit hard, it does so excellently. While the game is never actually that scary, the implied horror works incredibly well. And there are a handful of startles here and there. When the ghosts appear, the game aptly creates a tense atmosphere. The condition of the mother is presented with this existential and human horror, and it intrigued me more than all the evil spirits in this game. This game could have been exclusively about the mother's illness and the family dynamics around it, and I would have gladly taken it. It also helps that the visuals are just amazing. All the characters and the scenery are paper cutouts, but the game doesn't cheap out on the details, but fully commits to it. Characters are all well drawn, and there are a lot of different animations given for how light on gameplay the game actually is. The character portraits are sometimes a bit off-model, and there's not enough expressions for all the characters to accurately depict their emotions. So they can only be neutral, overjoyed or fucking pissed, but not slightly annoyed or just generally happy. It's not too bad, but noticeable, especially since you spend a lot of time reading conversations. So now I'm a bit torn about recommending this game. I'm glad I got to play it. It's a real treat when it comes to the visuals and the atmosphere, and some of the more deliberately tense moments are really worth experiencing. But most of the game, at least until chapter 7, has been daily routines and menial tasks. There's a lot of good in here, but you have to slog through a lot of long-winded, slow and mindless scenes. This is no intense horror experience, so if you're looking for that, this game isn't for you. But if you enjoy more slow games, if you're not averse to dialogue-heavy games or walking simulators, and if you want to take in a bit of Malaysian culture with a bit of creepiness on the side, then you might enjoy this game, or at least many of its moments, as I have. It helps that it isn't the most expensive game and keeps you busy for quite a few hours. So yeah, if that sounds like you, then go ahead and give this game a try. Maybe check out the somewhat standalone demo chapter first. And with that, I'm off. I wish you an amazing day and hope to see you again on the next game.